Tonight's forecast is sponsored by Ashbrook Audiology, where relationships matter.
All right, folks, we thank you so very much for continuing to stick around. We are so glad you haven't flipped the channel just yet, or maybe you have and you decided to take a break from BTW. But anyway, we're glad that you're back after the commercial break. We are going to continue to see our chilly temperatures here for majority of us as we make our way towards tonight. Our temperatures are going to be in the 40s, making our way later on this evening. We'll see partly sunny skies. Sunsets at 5:22. Now, something you will notice is that our increasing clouds will begin to filter in overnight as our temperatures are going to be in the 40s. We'll see 43 there at 8 p.m. Then again overnight 11 at 41. We'll probably dip right around the 37 to 39 degree mark for here in the city of Martinsville. So right around 40 degrees will be our average low for majority of us. So again, we'll see cloudy skies increase tonight with noticeably no windy conditions. So that is something to be, I guess, proud about or very thankful for. We're not seeing as much wind here in our forecast. And again, like I did mention, our temperatures are going to be in the 30s for us as we make our way up towards Stewart. Coming in there at 38 degrees. We have 40 there coming in at Ararat. We do have, again, clouds increasing for us tonight. We'll see the calm wind in the forecast, so that's something that will be out there as well. So now, like I said, not much of a wind concern for us, but we're going to see our temperatures here staying in the 30s. We have 36 there in Rocky Mount. Oak Level there. Coming in there, both Ferrum at 35 in Rocky Mount. Same story there in Boonsville, coming in right around 38 in Stewart. So you're noticing this warmer trend, and what's happening with that, we discussed this earlier last week, is that we have we like to call not evaporational cooling, it is called a heat island effect. That's what it's called. I got to get my terms correct here. Heat island effect. Pretty much, you're probably saying, what does that even mean? Well, what happens with that, the heat and the warm air kind of gets condensed inside of a bubble like a dome. So if you've ever been to a football stadium, you know the big old dome they have right around those. Generally, that happens with the heat that comes into effect. And so what happens with that, the heat just kind of staying still and has nowhere else to go, and it allows our temperatures to remain warmer or kind of cooler, just depending on which location you are. And so particular mountain locations, a lot of times, especially when we have cool nights, the last several mornings, as you know, have been pretty frosty out there. So you may have been able to use your ice scraper if you're like myself this morning, who unfortunately forgot his coming into work. So, hey, we're human. We make error. I'm not perfect by no means. And so, but just do know, make sure to get your ice scraper. And I know where it is now because I found it recently. So anyway, get out there, and no ice scrapers needed in the morning because we'll see those clouds start to increase for us overnight. We'll see our overnight lows, like I said, it's dipping in the mid-30s, closing in on 40 degrees for a majority of us tonight. Moving on now, we'll see the rain chances increase, and you do see there that our temperatures are going to be in the 50s for us. Coming there at 59 degrees. This background image, you notice a little something different there. This is at Philpott Lake. So if you have not had a chance to do that, we're going to work on getting some newer graphics or some more backgrounds here locally. We do want you to submit some photos to us so we can showcase your photos just like this one here. Again, Luis was hard at work finding this, so shout out to him, by the way, who's still currently on assignment as I'm speaking to you there. 50s, near 60 degrees tomorrow. We're giving tomorrow a 1 out of 10. We always joke and say, and Shania Dalton, our producer, is like, you're giving it a 1? Seriously? I'm like, well, I don't have a 0, so I can't leave it blank. Well, I mean, I guess I could, but you would never know the ranking for tomorrow. So 100% chance of rain is likely for everybody. So widespread showers will be in the theme for us. So we'll see some rain heavy at times coming in the afternoon. We'll see that rain later on in the afternoon and the evening hours on Thursday come to an end, but it's going to be a little bit on the humid side, but not as oppressively hot with that in mind. So if you're doing anything tomorrow, just do know that, yes, it's appropriate to give it a 1 out of 10. Recess, I would recommend go indoors this time because we will see a lot of rain moving back in our region. As we see across many of our hometowns, if you're making plans to go up towards Rocky Mount there in Ferrum, or if you're heading your way down towards Woolwine and Stewart and Ararat, mid-50s, 60 in Ridgeway, 59 both in Oak Level and Rocky Mount. That 556 degrees, I tell you what, for your folks in Boone's Mill, you're not burning up, but that is a typo I could not get fixed. that should say 56 degrees. So our folks in Boone's Mill, it is not going to be 556 degrees. So I don't know what the temperature of that would boil even. I don't know what melts at that high temperature, but I tell you what, it's not going to be 556 degrees. It's going to be 56 there in Boone's Mill. All right, let's move on from my era and get on to our final graphic we're going to be showcasing you here. And a lot of you have been talking about, social media saying, are we done with winter? Are we done with the snow? Or are we going to ever see snow? And the answer to that is, I'm hoping so too, because we are definitely needing to see some snow. We're about starting to go in a bit of a snow drought at this point. Of course, we had this past weekend, we had a little bit of sleet that moved in, brought a little bit brought that activity, if I can speak to you here. So just keep that in mind. Just do know that the snow potential, don't give up just yet. But again, you kind of see here on this map that majority of the United States is going to be at or just above the typical range for us. You see a lot of this blob of green here up and down the Ohio River Valley, all the way back towards the Pacific West. You've been hearing a lot about this called atmospheric rivering. Of course, our friends towards California and the Sierra Nevadas had picked up several feet of snow. So if you know folks out west here in California, they have already picked about 3 to almost 4 feet. An additional 2 to 3 feet of snow is expected towards that. And what's happening in parts of California, these river and water levels are rushing so high that it's creating a stream that's kind of doing like this number. So if you know folks out towards the west, particularly California there, they are beginning to see a lot of that heavy rain. Of course, it's called an atmospheric river. Pretty much has also been described as the Pineapple Express. And so what happens with that, let's imagine there's a globe here, there would be a system here, it'd be a system here, and so forth. That is most likely going to be the trend for that. And again, no Pineapple Express here. We're just going to see a mostly wet pattern as we get towards hopefully this upcoming week, and we'll get closer to our snowfall potential coming pretty soon. So on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we do come back, we'll have a lot more great local programming.
Your BTW21 weather forecast is sponsored by Zentmeyer Chiropractic.